I've asked myself, why am I so obsessed with rebellion? I wrote this thing which is kind of autobiographical, which goes some way to explaining it, I think. I'm 17 years old and I'm listening to Jimi Hendrix for the first time. It's one of those experiences that you used to get from music, revelatory and mind-expanding, like a veil has been lifted. Jimi has got it right. The world is full of white-collar conservatives pointing their plastic finger at me. Everyone is trying to smother my individuality beneath a blanket of oppression. Therefore, my duty is not to let them. It is to explore my identity, what makes me, me. I decide I'm going to be an individual. I'm going to wave my freak flag high, so I grow my hair long. I experiment with clothes that make me stand out. I buy from vintage shops, not mainstream outlets, and I will not be subsumed into the whole. Since I'm so focused on myself, I don't notice that everyone else is doing the same. Everyone wants to think of themselves as special, different, a rebel. We are all unique. We are all individual. I'm 20 years old and at university. Instead of being smothered and oppressed, I'm encouraged to express myself and therefore to explore my ethnicity. Yet despite all this, I continue in my belief that I'm living in a regimented, conformist society. This idea is beyond question. All my life I've grown up thinking that I'm different to the others, whether it's because I'm mixed race or because of my artistic nature, I am set apart. What I don't realise is that throughout my life this idea will be used time and again to get me to spend money. Through my need to be different, I am buying into a market. I'm 28 years old and I'm working as a teaching assistant. I'm working in a behaviour unit where students have been ejected from regular lessons because of their disruptive behaviour. To my bemusement, the first activity they're required to do in the behaviour unit scheme is to fill out a booklet called All About Me. They are encouraged to write about themselves and draw self-portraits. They are also encouraged to love themselves. And it reminds me of a routine by George Carlin, a comedian. Because they also talked about self-esteem a lot. You know, he said, turns out serial killers have high self-esteem. By now, I'm beginning to seriously question my previous belief in individualism. I realise that society believes the same things as me. The scales fall from my eyes. The individual is not being smothered at all. The individual is king. What does this mean? It means that I'm not so different after all. I'm not immune to the seduction of consumerism. It means I've been duped. And I ask, how did this happen? And why did it take me so long to figure it out? And I think part of this, I mean, the last talk we did was very much about, I spoke about how artists feel, you know, coming from the 1960s, artists were at the vanguard of this movement against a repressive society and to have this revolution which liberated people. But then, ever since digital culture came along, I feel like the art, you know, it's kind of like a Frankenstein's monster which has taken over and has said, well, we don't need the artists anymore. The artists, in the sense of like an elite which have been toppled. Everyone can have the means of production, which is, you know, to make the songs or the films that artists make. So artists have been left behind. So I was saying last time that I think, in a way, artists are on the wrong side of the battle. Why embrace a thing that's killing you? And the other part of it is, I feel that the model that we have for an artist very much comes from, and I think of William Blake railing against the dark satanic mills, and I also think of Karl Marx with his critique of capitalism. And I think those two things have had a powerful impact on what it means to be an artist today. But they're both responses to industrialisation, which is now gone. So, you know, my question is it time to for artists to recognise that there's more than one way of being an artist, and is it time to move on and to look at a different way of being an artist?